Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. South Korea, US and Japan strongly condemn North Korea's second ballistic missile launch in less than 12 hours. Japan says missile is capable of reaching anywhere in US. Aid enters Gaza through Israel's Kerem Shalom crossing for the first time in conflict. Sources say Israel-Hamas open to truce, but obstacles remain. National security trial of pro-democracy tycoon Jimmy Lai opens in Hong Kong. Lai faces 3 charges under the national security law and a further count of sedition. And in sports, FIFA Club World Cup set for June-July in 2025. United States to host the first edition of the event. North Korea launched second ballistic missile in less than 12 hours on Monday. The solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile has a potential to travel more than 15,000 kilometers. Pyongyang had condemned the United States for orchestrating what it called a preview of a nuclear war with the arrival of a nuclear-powered US submarine in South Korea on Sunday. Jagrati Dave reports from Washington.
These latest indications of a launch by North Korea are expected to complicate further the attempts by the United States to denuclearize the peninsula. It suggests that North Korea is willing to double down on its threats rather than view the actions by the United States, Japan and South Korea, their cooperation, as a deterrence. And this ramping up of its missile test by Kim Jong-un is an example of that. There's added concern that North Korea could also supply weapons to Russia as part of its war with Ukraine in exchange for Russia's knowledge about nuclear technology. So these missile launches are worrying not only for the Korean Peninsula, but wider geopolitics. Now, all this comes as the United States, Japan and South Korea are about to launch a sharing system of missile data of launches by North Korea, and that's due to happen this month. And the sorts of things that they will be sharing are detecting and tracking incoming North Korean missiles. There'll be nuclear operation scenarios as part of their joint exercises. All of these which Pyongyang views as provocations, but which the United States, Japan and South Korea view as necessary parts of their attempts to denuclearize the peninsula and for the security of the trilateral agreement and their own individual nations against the threats and the challenges posed by North Korea.
South Korea's National Security Council labeled the launch as a destabilizing act that ignored international warnings and multiple UN Security Council resolutions.
Despite our military's repeated warnings, North Korea continues to carry out threatening provocations. Once again, I strongly warn that North Korea is entirely responsible for any consequences from all subsequent situations.
Japan has strongly condemned the missile launch, saying that it is capable of reaching anywhere in Japan as well as the United States.
Based on calculations of its flight trajectory, the ICBM-class ballistic missile launched this time has a range of more than 15,000 kilometers, depending on the weight of the warhead. And in that case, it can reach anywhere in the United States. We have strongly condemned North Korea and have made a solemn protest against its actions through diplomatic channels in Beijing.
Following the launch, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke with South Korean and Japanese counterpart. He said that U.S. condemns the test, saying it's a flagrant violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Meanwhile, South Korea's defense ministry said the trilateral missile information sharing system with Japan and the United States is in the final verification stage after North Korea fired ballistic missiles. The 3 countries had said that a real-time missile information sharing system would become operational this month. Meanwhile, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi held high-level talks with North Korean Vice Foreign Minister Park Myung-ho in Beijing, even though the meeting comes amidst North Korea's missile launch. However, statements from both sides do not mention the launch. China said that Beijing is willing to strengthen bilateral communication between the two countries, while North Korea will not continue to strengthen multilateral cooperation to safeguard common interests. And shifting focus to Israel-Hamas conflict, Kerem Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza opened for the first time for humanitarian aid truck on Sunday. The crossing on the border of Egypt, Israel and Gaza is one of the main transit points for goods in and out of Gaza. The move is in motion to double the amount of food and medicine aid reaching Gaza. The crossing had been closed after the October 7 attack by Hamas. Then after, aid was being delivered solely through Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt, which Israel says could only accommodate the entry of 100 trucks per day. Meanwhile, there are also reports that United Nations Security Council could vote as early as Monday on draft resolution to establish aid monitoring mechanism in Gaza. The draft resolution calls for facilitating the use of all land, sea and air routes leading to the entire Gaza Strip, including border crossings, including the Kerem Shalom crossing. Reportedly, the fate of the draft Security Council resolution hinges on final negotiations between Israel and Council veto power, US and UAE. Moreover, there are also reports that Israel and Hamas are both open to a renewed ceasefire and hostage release. As Israel's counter-offensive against Hamas gained space, Israeli forces released a video footage on Sunday of newly uncovered tunnel. According to the Israeli officials, the large concrete and iron-girded tunnel had been designed to carry carloads of militant fighters from Gaza right up to the border. Another video showing brother of Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader in Gaza, being driven in a car through the tunnel was also released. Well, updates now on Russia-Ukraine war. Both the countries launched a swarm of drones at each other's territories on Sunday as both sides step up attacks. The Russian attack killed a person in Odessa and the Ukrainian strike targeted a Russian military airfield. Ukraine's Air Force said it has destroyed 20 drones and a cruise missile that Russia launched overnight. 9 of the drones were downed over the southern Odessa region. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry said its air defense system destroyed a total of 35 Ukraine-launched drones over several regions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine and the European Commission will soon assess Kyiv's progress on aligning its legislation with that of European Union. He added that a framework for EU accession talks is expected in the spring.
We have the decision of the European Council, for the sake of which we have worked throughout the year, a decision to open negotiations on membership. In the coming days, we will officially launch with the European Commission the process of assessing Ukrainian legislation for compliance with EU legislation, the screening process. We are also preparing for the work on the negotiation framework for Ukraine. We expect it in spring.
A junior British foreign minister on Monday said Guyana's territorial integrity should be respected as he visited the Commonwealth country after neighboring Venezuela renewed its claim to the oil-rich Essequibo region. Britain's Minister for the Americas and Caribbean met Guyanese president and offered the UK's unequivocal backing to Guyanese friends. He also welcomed the recent agreement. Guyana and Venezuela on Thursday agreed to avoid any use of force and to not escalate tensions in their long-running dispute in the Essequibo region. Essequibo is generally recognized as part of Guyana, but in recent years, Venezuela has revived its claim to the territory and to offshore areas after major oil and gas discoveries. Rutley will also hold talks with ambassadors from the United States, France, Canada, and the European Union over international support for the former British colony in the dispute. The long-awaited national security trial of Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai has begun amid a heavy police presence aimed at ensuring safety and that nothing disrupts the proceedings. The founder of the Apple Daily newspaper stands accused of conspiring to collude with foreign forces under the national security legislation and taking part in a conspiracy to publish seditious materials under the city's colonial-era sedition law. Britain called for Hong Kong to release Jimmy Lai ahead of the trial on charges including the United States. Jimmy faces up to life in prison if convicted on national security charges, which rights activists have called baseless. Well, Andrew Wood sends us more from Hong Kong.
As you say, it's the national security law is the main legislation under which these charges have been laid. There are also the seditious charges as well under the colonial era, the former British laws. Those concentrate, it's believed, mainly on articles published in his newspaper, the Apple Daily, and comments that he himself made or articles that he himself wrote. The rest is the national security law, which is at the moment well, it hasn't been used a lot in court. So far, all the cases that have been held, there's been a 100% conviction rate. In this case, the judges are going to be chosen, or have been chosen rather, by the Hong Kong government, in effect, indirectly by Beijing. There's no jury trial like you would get usually in Hong Kong, and Mr. Lai's requests to have a top lawyer from Britain, a barrister, who would in theory be able to practice in Hong Kong courts, certainly in the traditional part of the Hong Kong courts, those were denied by Beijing. Well, the United Kingdom has the Foreign Secretary, the relatively new Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, who used to be Prime Minister. He's called for the release of Jimmy Lai, and that's partly because, of course, Jimmy Lai is a British citizen. But the Foreign Office in the UK has pointed out that people of Chinese origin, it says, are considered Chinese by the Chinese authorities. They think that's unfair. I mean, certainly the British consulate is sending people along to monitor this trial. Also, the United States has spoken out as well, saying that Jimmy Lee should be freed.
Two suspected Chinese weather balloons flew across the sensitive Taiwan Strait on Sunday, but stayed well to the north of the island nation, Taiwan's defense ministry said. This is the second time in a month Taipei has reported them nearby. Earlier, one detected on December 7. Taiwan is on high alert for Chinese activities, both military and political, ahead of the January 13 presidential and parliamentary election. Taipei has warned of Beijing's efforts to interfere in the ballot to get voters to pick candidates China may prefer. The ministry's initial judgment is that they were weather balloons, spokesperson Sun Lifang said. Well, a dozen people were killed in an attack at a holiday party in Guanajuato, Mexico, where an armed group opened fire on partygoers. The attack occurred at dawn in Salvatierra, a town known for its traditional Mexican Christmas party. Guanajuato, home to numerous automotive and aeronautic factories, has become one of the most violent states in the country due to drug trafficking conflicts. And let's take a look at elections-related stories making news around the world. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić has claimed victory in snap parliamentary elections, saying his party is heading for an absolute majority. Based on votes counted in a sample of polling stations, pollsters predicted the populist SNS won 46.2% of votes, while the opposition centre-left Serbia Against Violence Alliance is set to come second with 23.2%. Meanwhile, Serbia's opposition centre-left alliance accused the ruling party of election fraud and said it would complain to the State Election Commission after initial results for the country's snap poll came in. Chilean voters rejected a proposed conservative constitution to replace the country's dictatorship-era charter. With 96% of votes counted late Sunday, about 55.8% had voted no to the new charter, with about 44.2% in favor. This is the second draft constitution in as many years that voters have rejected to replace its current text. But after 4 years of votes and political infighting, Chileans have been voicing mistrust and disenchantment with the process. Though Egyptian authorities are yet to announce who won the last week's election, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who's the incumbent president, is expected to win a third term. The elections happened at a time when the Middle East's most populous nation, Egypt, is in the midst of an economic crisis and experiencing the effect of the ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel in the region. El-Sisi is a former military general who has led Egypt for the past decade with an emphasis on security or democracy, is expected to retain power. The election, which began on December 10, is Sisi's third since taking power after overthrowing Egypt's first popularly elected president, Mohamed Morsi, in 2013. Morsi won the presidency a year after the toppling of long-ruling autocrat Hosni Mubarak in a popular uprising. Thousands gathered in Lubumbashi in the Democratic Republic of Congo to attend presidential candidate Moise Katumbi's final rally ahead of the December 20 presidential vote. Almost 44 million people are registered to vote in an election that will determine whether incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi will remain in office after his first term. In 2018, Moise Katumbi was prevented from entering the country in time to submit his candidacy for the presidential election. But this time, his chances have been boosted by the backing of 3 candidates that have dropped out of the race. Florida governor and Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis said that he would build a border wall if he is elected as the next U.S. president in 2024. DeSantis, who spoke at a rally in Oskaloosa, Iowa, he said he would impose fees on remittances migrants sent to their countries of origin to pay for the construction of the border wall. The Trump rival added he wants to strengthen the military and use of domestic energy for production. DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has been campaigning relentlessly of late, trying to close the gap in the final weeks. Well, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's National Investigation Agency is conducting raids in southern states related to jihadi terrorist organization network. India continues with its digital payment revolution. A total of 333 cricketers set to go under hammer for the 17th season of India's T20 Cricket League, Indian Premier League, also known as IPL.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Back home, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's on a 2-day visit to his parliamentary constituency Varanasi, unveiled a plaque to mark the inauguration of the newly built Swarved Mahamandir during a public gathering. Earlier, PM Modi also took a tour of the temple. The building has a 125 lotus petal dome, and Swarved verses are carved on the inner walls of the temple. Spanning over 300,000 square feet, the temple is also world's largest meditation center, capable to host around 20,000 meditation practitioners.
आप संतों के सानिध्य में काशी के लोगों ने मिलकर विकास और नवनिर्माण के कितने ही नए कीर्तिमान गढ़े हैं। सरकार, समाज और संतगण सब साथ मिलकर काशी के कायाकल्प के लिए कार्य कर रहे हैं। आज स्वर्वेद मंदिर बनकर तैयार होना इसी ईश्वरीय प्रेरणा का उदाहरण है। ये महामंदिर महर्षि सदाफल देव जी की शिक्षाओं का, उनके उपदेशों का प्रतीक है। इस मंदिर की दिव्यता जितना आकर्षित करती है, इसकी भव्यता हमें उतना ही अचंभित भी करती है।
In Varanasi itself, PM Modi will flag off the second Vande Bharat Express from Varanasi to New Delhi. The Indian Railways is set to commence operations of the advanced semi-high-speed Vande Bharat to enhance the connectivity between Indian state of Uttar Pradesh and the national capital. The initiative not only saves passengers time, but also accelerates cultural, industrial and economic development in the region. Today is the second and last day of PM Modi's visit to his parliamentary constituency. Also in Varanasi, PM Modi will participate in the nationwide outreach program of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra in the city of Varanasi. Prime Minister Modi is expected to interact with the beneficiaries of various schemes. Along with this, people will also take benefits of health camp and exhibition on agri-products. With a firm resolve to make India a developed nation by 2047, Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being organized in the various cities of the country. Similar event was organized in Dibrugarh district of India's northeastern state of Assam. Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal attended the event, during which he said, "The Yatra is Modi's guarantee towards a new developed India." He added that PM Modi is committed towards reviving the glory of Assam and the whole of the northeast ever since 2014. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra event was also organized in Indore city on Sunday. A camp was set up which provided the benefits of various schemes of the central government. Various stalls were set up to facilitate beneficiaries with information on different schemes. Registration for schemes, correction of errors in Aadhaar cards and comprehensive IDs, as well as the process of creating new ones, were undertaken at the stalls. Heavy rains continue to batter Indian southern state of Tamil Nadu. The weather officials have issued orange alert for several districts today. Moreover, heavy rains have been predicted for 2 days over various districts of the state such as Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi and Tenkasi. Following the rain alert, the government has declared a holiday for all schools, colleges, private institutions, banks and financial institutions. Reportedly, 40 rivers and lakes around Kovilpatti area have reached their full capacity, resulting in severe waterlogging. Many residents have also shifted to shelter homes to escape the flood-like conditions. Opposition MPs continue to create ruckus in both houses of parliament over security breach incident. Lok Sabha was adjourned till noon following sloganeering by opposition MPs. Lower House Speaker Om Birla said that it is sad that politics is being done on this issue. He requested opposition's cooperation to hold discussions on important issues. While Rajya Sabha was also adjourned first till 11:30 and then till 2 p.m. amid ruckus in the House on the same matter. Let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's National Investigation Agency conducted raids across multiple Indian states related to jihadi terrorist organization network on Monday. The agency's teams reached Karnataka, Delhi, Maharashtra and Jharkhand. Search operations are still going on the location of the suspects. The search was launched after 15 terrorists of the banned terrorist organization were arrested from different areas of Maharashtra and Karnataka on December 9. The new COVID subvariant JN.1 in Indian state of Kerala raises new concerns, as experts say it is markedly different from prior versions. The World Health Organization has urged member states to continue with strong surveillance amid rising respiratory diseases JN.1 subvariant. Snow covered the picturesque town of Gulmarg in India's Jammu and Kashmir as the area saw the first snowfall of the season. The state government helped tourists and local in removing stranded vehicles after abrupt snowfall earlier on Monday. The official also expected a fall in minimum temperatures by 2 to 4 degrees Celsius from Monday onwards. The recent snowfall in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand has impacted weather conditions in the plains as well as including New Delhi, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. The national capital was blanketed in thick fog as cold wave conditions engulfed the city since weekend. Visuals from Kartavya Path show very limited visibility, forcing people to stay indoors. India has become the first country in the world to demonstrate the capability of engagement of 4 aerial targets simultaneously at a range of 25 kilometers by command guidance using single firing unit. The test was conducted by the Indian Air Force using Akash weapon system. And let's see what's happening in the world of business. The Unified Payments Interface, an instant payment system developed in India, achieved a remarkable milestone, crossing an astonishing 7,000 crore transactions in October for the financial year 23-24. The trend continued in November, with much of the elevated spending being seen in shopping and e-commerce and travel transactions, according to market participants. This extraordinary feat is indicative of the growing popularity and trust in UPI as a secure and efficient payment platform. Well, the auction for the 17th season of India's T20 Cricket League, the Indian Premier League, will take place in Dubai on Tuesday. A total of 333 cricketers are set to go under the hammer for IPL season 17. As many as 214 are Indians, while 119 are overseas players. However, only 77 slots, including 30 for foreign players, are left to be filled at the mini IPL auction among 10 teams. While all 10 teams would be striving to enhance the strength of their current squads, two-time champions Kolkata Knight Riders have the most vacant slots at 12. Each team can have a maximum of 25 players in their squad. India has announced a 6-member team for the upcoming Davis Cup Group 1 playoff match against Pakistan, which is scheduled to take place in Islamabad on February 3 and 4. Ramkumar Ramanathan will lead the squad that includes Ram Balaji, Yuki Bhamri, Nikki Punacha and Saket Mayani and Digvijay Pratap Singh, who serves as a reserve player. A win against Pakistan will open the gateway for India to re-enter the prestigious Davis Cup World Group 1. The last time India travelled to Pakistan was in 1964, securing a convincing 4-0 victory. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said that Club World Cup plan for 2025 is set to feature 32 teams, and it will be played from June 15 to July 13 in the United States, while a new Intercontinental Cup will be played annually from next year. The Council met in Jeddah to ratify the dates for the Club World Cup. It confirmed next year's Intercontinental Cup would have the UEFA Champions League winning playing a team that comes through Intercontinental playoffs. The Council also decided that Chile will host the Under-20 World Cup in 2025, while Poland will host the Under-20 Women's World Cup in 2026.
Well, in 2025 we will have a new club competition, a competition which will crown the world champion of the club, which is the best club in the world officially, with a title and a trophy delivered by FIFA. This new competition will be called Mundial de Clubes in Spanish, and it will take place in the United States of America from the 15th of June to the 13th of July 2025.
All right, and that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.